Viewers, welcome back. I'm gonna welcome myself back as well. Just got back from another show weekend. It's Monday. You're watching episode 4 right now, and we are finally to the back. So we're gonna go ahead and blow these wheels off, and we're just gonna jump right into it. Okay, so with the wheels off the car, go sneaky up in here. For those of you guys that didn't watch the first video, this used to be a coil spring car until we snuck them out of there. So we just got to replace this bottom perch with a bag mount, and then we're going to sneak a bolt in bag cup up in that top perch. Pretty cut and dry, super simple. This is why we did the front first. Wanted to get the hard part out of the way. So let's do it. So I went ahead and pulled out the electric blue axe here. It's gonna make pretty easy work of knocking out these little spring perches here. It's just 4 little welds, so let's roll. All right, so now that the GoPro's out of danger's way and this is out, I'm gonna sneak in there, kind of dress up that axle a little bit so we can go ahead and get on to lower bag mounts. All right, so with the axle all cleaned up here, after going and searching at my old shop for a little bit, AKA mom and dad's, I found these. Saved me a little time, saved the customer a little money, because I'm just gonna give them to them. I wouldn't go use them for anything anyway. And you go take this, just like that. So as far as locating these on your rear end, there's a couple different ways to do it. I like to use a plumb bob, but I haven't bagged many cars to where I've had to do this like this. So I'm gonna have to make a little tool to sneak up in that hole so I can just drop a line through it, and I can just line up that plumb bob in that center hole, and that'll give us our lateral location. So I've got a piece of 1 3/4 DOM chucked up in the lathe here. It's just a drop from whenever I did the front end. It is just over the inside diameter of that spring perch. So I just gotta give a quick little, just a little love tap on the lathe here. I'm not gonna actually turn the whole thing down. I'm just gonna bring her in about maybe a 1/2 inch. All it needs to do is just sit up there and be center enough to drop that string through. I'm gonna go ahead and get this knocked out, and then we're gonna get the plate put on the front. Okay, got our step in, that works. So we need to put a cap to drop that screen through. I had these laying around. I drilled some speed holes and some plates for that Monte Carlo I have in my very first video. And I always keep shit like this, but what I'm gonna do is weld that to that. Let me show you how I'm gonna locate it. So with my brain working at A capacity, this is what I came up with as my fixture. Got my tailstock, old junk hole saw, and the drill bit that I use to actually drill that hole. I'm gonna switch down here. I'm just gonna start running that in. Slam a couple tacks on that. We'll see if I didn't just waste time or if this worked out. Only one way to find out. All right, so before we get started locating this lower mount, whenever you go bag over top of axle, whenever the bag moves 1 inch, the axle moves 1 inch. So if you have a bag that has 8 inches of travel, that means from full bump to full droop, your axle's only gonna move 8 inches. So whenever I set a ride height, that's center travel. So from right here, which is a full bump, I need to drop it 4 inches, and that'll be where my lower bag mount sets level. So I'm gonna drop this 4 inches, and then I'm gonna center it up with my plumb bob, and we're gonna get her tacked in. Okay, so with the rear end set where we want it height wise, I've got my little keeper in that hole there. So what I've done, I scribed a line, and I actually kind of cheated with my phone to locate this, and then I just went ahead and scribed another line on the side. That way I can actually go through and put it back in the same place whenever I go to level that plate. So time to get the scale out and get this thing tacked on. Well, now that we're tacked in, it's time to get the mock-up bag in, and we're going to start measuring for bag cups. I got the mock-up bag in. So now all I have to do is measure from the furthest most on this spring perch to the top of that mock-up bag. That's it. Make a couple cups, make them where they can bolt in, close the book, she's bagged. So with the plate sitting on this bag and got a 90-degree fitting in, that's how it's going to be sitting in the car. Put the cup on, and you're going to have a cover over this. So that airline's got to come out somehow. So we're just going to cut right around there. I'm going to cut it nice and big, so if you want to replace an airline, you don't have to take the bag cup clear out. Let's get into it. That's it. Let's weld her up. All right, with the bag cup finished, I went ahead and snuck everything up there as an assembly. The car isn't a full bump just cause I wouldn't be able to show you anything. It's pretty tight in there, but that's gonna work out. Our clearances all around aren't too bad. I can fit a hand in there. The universal rule is you want a hand's width all the way around on your bag, but now all we're down to is just figuring out how to bolt that damn bag cup in there, and then after that we got her whoop, bud. Okay, so I got the bag taken out, and going through that hole is going to be our means of making this thing bolt on. So I need to drill a hole through the center of that hole to run a piece of oil thread through. So what I'm going to do is take my existing tool here that I made for the string. I'm going to sleeve this guy right into it. So since I've got a through hole here, and that's just going to align me straight through the center of that spring perch, I'm just going to take a homemade bit that I made and run my drill up through it and make me a mark, and then I'll pull this out and I'll drill a hole through it, and then in theory it should work. Well, that seemed to work. Okay, so with the hole drilled in the car, now I can go to where I'm gonna put my nut to actually make this bolt on. So this here's about dead center, and I really don't want it to overhang on this hole for that fitting to go through. So I'm gonna just sneak it back a little bit, and then if it offsets the top of that bag at all, I'll just open up that hole and kind of cheat it a little bit. It won't hurt anything, I promise. But we'll get this nut tacked in, and then we're on to the next step. Okay, so off camera, I opened that hole up that we drilled in the car earlier. This here is actually what's gonna make this thing bolt on. Piece of 1/2 inch all thread. There you go. Run everything up into that hole. Throw your nut on top. You're done, you're bolted in. So we're at the final segment of episode 4 here. I I went ahead and stomped out the driver's side of this rear. All I have left to do is burn those lower bag mounts in and run shocks. I'll do that all off camera. But I'm gonna go ahead and take you off the car here and run you under. And that there, God, it's so tight under here. But you can see we're done. We're knocked out. Everything's all bolted in top side. So let's get this car on the ground and give her a little test hit. That's a lot clearer up on shop air. Do it again here. So that's a good test. I'm gonna write that off as good. No binds, no pops, no nothing, no rubs. So I'm just gonna go ahead and burn those lower bag mounts in and give a little dust of paint, and we're gonna call the back done. I would have cycled the front for you, but the front of this car is so heavy that it needs 200 pounds to get up. So what I'm gonna have to do is go ahead and just get the air management in the car, and you're gonna have that in the next episode. Thanks, guys.